Ladies and gentlemen, you are rocking with the best, the Holy Ruckus Podcast, episode number 100. What's going on?
Let's go.
Let's go. Streamers.
Slow clap. Slow
Everything.
clap.
Yes.
Yes, baby.
Shake it.
Let's go.
Drop
Praise
it.
the Lord.
Bust down.
Gosh.
What's up, man?
100. You've been here for all 100. How does that feel?
How does it feel to be here for like half of it? But it was good. You came on towards the end. So
I know. I really
good on
picked
you.
it up. The viewership or listenership was like hoping for some more eye candy.
It hasn't
for this
recovered
show.
ever
Yeah.
since.
Yeah. You know,
No, but
I'm glad to do my part.
There you go. There you go. So we'll talk more about our festivities on this 100th episode and just highlights and our wish list for the guests going forward. But we're so
That's
excited to be here because we do have a guest today. He's easy on the eyes. He's quite the looker. Scott Hahn couldn't be with us today, so we had to get Sir Edmund Mitchell. And so I know, Father Pat, you really wanted Raymond Arroyo, but we had to do it differently. That's shy.
I know. I wanted him to come on and read his stories. You know, do
his storybooks, his children's storybooks. Again, I just want to say I almost got in trouble last time because my wife was like, "Don't make one of those storybooks because like people give those books for free to us," and I'm like, "No, God bless you, Raymond Arroyo, for your book on
absolutely
thieves.
Follow the Lord and the Spirit wherever He leads." But all the same, you know, we can. You know, that's what we do. We're here making noise. We're basically holy noise. That's our thing.
Exactly, man. No one is exempt. No one, it's like the barbershop. If you can't talk shit about other people, then what are we doing?
That's right. Yeah. We have to
here you go. All love.
Let people know who we are, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, let's get going. Play that intro, drop that intro. Here we go.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
Let's bring the ruckus.
Why were you made? I was made to be happy. The way to be happy is to know truth and to love goodness. In other words, I am made for God.
Pero quiero lío en las dioses. Quiero que se salga afuera.
You are now listening to the Holy Ruckus Podcast.
We here now.
Hey,
what's going on?
Oh,
how you guys doing? It's good to be here.
Bienvenidos. Thanks for coming in.
La biblioteca. Good to have Edmund back because he was the OGs back in the day.
Repeat.
Everybody was starting to do podcasts. We were doing them well before everybody else, at least in the Catholic world. I want to say that first thing right out the bat. But my man's been here. I don't know what episode it was. I'm trying to look it up. It was in the early teens, I want to say, that I got Edmund in there. But thanks so much for being with us, Edmund. How are you? How's the weather? How's the family? What's going on?
Oh man, I'm doing well. It's so I'm in Texas and we're getting ice. I think 2 weeks ago we got snow randomly, and now we're getting ice.
Ice, baby. Wow.
Yeah, everyone in Texas is trying to figure out how to survive.
Penguins and igloos and ice.
Yeah.
Do people respect it, or like are they
freak out? In Texas, it's like the zombie apocalypse. It's like, what is going on? Like they shut everything down. And I lived in Toledo for a few years, and so during like one of the worst winters in all of the United States. So I feel like a superhero. I feel like it's Mario Kart on the roads where I have like 120 cc's, but everyone has like 40. So I'm just like,
right.
I drive very
There's
safe.
banana peels everywhere, and you're gonna get blue shelled, my friend. Well,
yeah, but people freak out. It's like you guys all have these massive trucks and a little ice on the road, and you guys like turn into grandmothers driving here.
I don't know. Wait, what's it like in the supermarkets, dude? Like, is like eggs?
People are grabbing bread, beer, and bullets. They don't even know why they're grabbing bullets, but they're like, we might need them. Like the weather might get aggressive.
Right. Well, if like a bison herd comes through, then they're going to need to, shoot some more meat for their.
Exactly. They're like, well, if there's no food, we got to shoot our food. Right, squirrel. We're not about that. We're Texas. America.
It's too funny because here in Maryland, in the DC area, like people flip out for like 2 inches. We close down the schools. We close down the schools for a little dusting. So I imagine what that's like. But my wife's from Minnesota, and so she's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, she's like, "Get serious. Don't talk to me until it's a couple feet.
Get out of here."
Man. I got so razzed by like the North Dakotans when I was studying with like Bismarck seminarians. They'd be like, "Oh, oh, you guys don't know. You don't know how to handle the snow. And I was like, well, should we? Like, what are you talking about here? Like, we're not living like, in friggin' igloos or whatever you got up there, by the Canadian borders. Like, I don't have to go raiding across the border to get like fur trapping done, So, yeah.
They're hard. They're hard up there in America's hat. They're pretty hard.
Gosh,
They're hard up there.
Talking about like massive overreactions. I remember a family member, I'm not going to say who because they probably are listening. When Y2K was about to happen, I don't know why they felt like the water was going to go out. And so they bought these big trash cans, and they put water in them. They're like one for each kid so they could go bathe themselves.
Wow.
It was
That's
real.
intense.
Y2K, they didn't know. We didn't know.
That's intense.
Gosh, that was 22 years ago, gentlemen. 22
Oh, we're
years
old.
ago.
We're so
We
old.
are. I'm very, very old.
How did your parents explain that, Edmund? How did your parents explain Y2K? Did they even touch on that?
I think my parents went to a party and they left me with my grandmother. And I was like, if stuff really hits the fan, like Grammy's not going to really take care of me, I don't think. But they went to some party, and it was just kind of in the air a little bit that something might happen, but I don't know. We didn't really think anything was really going to happen.
Dude, that's good on you. Good on you.
Yeah.
We were flipping out over here. So anyway, let's get to it. So again, just like we do every other guest, especially our 100th guest on this podcast, we're gonna treat you like no one else, like everyone else. We're gonna treat you like, and we're gonna go a segment of overrated, underrated.
Oh,
whatever we say,
that.
whatever we pop on, you just totally hot take that thing.
Oh, I love it.
And speak on it.
Okay.
We'll add the music later.
And there's like a time. There's like a. I have to do it quick, right? It's like
yes.
reaction. Okay.
Yeah.
But
top of the head. Just first impressions.
Anytime these podcast people do the same thing, it ends up going for like 20 minutes. So like whatever.
Okay.
We'll do our thing.
You can make a Twitter apology if it goes it goes south really popular. That's very popular these days. So
there you go. Twitter. Okay. Here we go. So let me pull my stuff up. So here we go. Underrated, overrated. Underrated, overrated. Let's go. You are the guest, Mr. Edmund Mitchell. And let's start with something Texas, overrated, underrated. You lived there for a while. I don't know if you're going to be there for the foreseeable. Overrated, underrated.
Here's what I'll say. I think Texas is great. I think right now it's overrated because we're having so many people just flooding the borders. I think there's something in the air about Texas is the Holy Land. I think Texas is great, but I think right now, in general, in the population, it is overrated currently. It's still a great state. I think most people kind of are overrating it because they're just flooding into Texas.
I heard like you're getting like a mass exodus of like Californians. Are they
Yeah,
all around
Austin.
everywhere? Or are they just like going to Austin? Like where?
Austin's saying used to be like make or keep Austin weird, and now it's like make Austin California. That's like I think that's the saying now. But
hey man, great tacos in California, great tacos in Texas. So
we got great tacos here.
It's
Overrated Texas. No shade on Texas. I love Texas, but right now I think it's overrated.
All right, here we go.
Fair.
Overrated, underrated. This is super random. Ryan Reynolds.
Underrated. I think underrated. He is. I mean, he wrote Deadpool.
No,
he's hilarious.
really?
He's taking over his advertising with his gin. I mean, I think he's really underrated. I think he's like seems like a really savvy businessman. Just absolutely hilarious. I think he's underrated. I think he's a national treasure. I think we're gonna have him around for a long time.
Haven't you been mistaken for Ryan Reynolds once upon a time?
No, I wish.
Dude, no, seriously, I don't know where I was. They were like, yo, Edmund looks like Ryan Reynolds.
Dude, do you hang out with a lot of attractive women? Maybe
No.
they're the ones that think I look like Ryan Reynolds. But
maybe that's it.
But
anyway, no, I could have sworn in some of the threads in the comments, they were like, why is Catholic Ryan Reynolds hollering?
Oh my gosh, I need to look for this. I regret.
I don't know where I was.
I should be better about. I often don't make it into the comments. I need to be better about reading all the comments. But Ryan Reynolds, underrated for sure.
Underrated for sure. Okay.
It's a mogul.
All right. It's the theme that we're talking about today. Overrated, underrated. the Catechism of the Catholic Church?
Oh, underrated. I think Pope Benedict, this was a few years back, said that the full reception of the Catechism in the life of the church is still far ahead of us. And, it came out in the 90s, but I still think it's underrated. It's massively underrated. People think it's just a textbook. They don't understand that it's evangelistic, that it can be used in the church. Highly underrated.
Well, let me
Go ahead, get on that.
you another hot take then. So then what about like versions of the catechism? Do you feel like that's because the project is still ongoing and we're not done and we're like have so much left to do in terms of appreciating it? When we come out with like a youth catechism, is that like helpful, or is that underrated, or is that overrated?
I think among people that are interested in evangelization, I would probably say that the other catechism editions, like if you're an adult and you've had some level of formation, I think the different versions are maybe a little overrated, because I would say go to the
Get to the source.
Yeah, like go to the Vatican one first. Like don't. And it's because when I was in ministry, oftentimes people would say, well, that catechism is probably too crazy. I'm just going to skip over to this other version.
Oh, no.
But the catechism says it's not supposed to replace local catechism. So it's a universal, it's a catechism on behalf of the universal church, but it's not supposed to take the place of an African conference of bishops writing their own catechism to their people, or like the USCCB wrote the young adult or the adult catechism.
Right.
So I think there's still a place for local catechisms, and the catechism itself says it. We're not trying to replace it, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like I think if you're an adult, like you could go to it. I think don't just dismiss it, right? So
Gotcha.
I think there's a place for it, but a little overrated, at least in some of the circles I'm in. Now I know most people are probably not having the same experience I do, but when I was in ministry, I feel like it was a little overrated. Like, oh, aren't there these different versions? And it's like, well, at least open up the Vatican one first.
Like it wouldn't make sense if you only ever read like articles about or like commentaries on the Bible. Like you gotta dive into the word itself and see.
Or if you went into like the Living Word version of the Bible, like the one that's like in common vernacular, it's
hey, dudes.
Yeah, like that's the one I read because I understand it. Like,
love your neighbor.
Yeah.
love your bros. Love your bro. Hey, bro.
All right, here we go.
If you're ever really bored and just need something that will take up like an hour of your time, look up the Hawaiian Pigeon Bible.
Ooh.
That is wildly fascinating. Great for high school kids or just like a drinking, like just open up the Hawaiian Pigeon Bible.
See if you can actually pronounce it.
No. It's like so pigeon is like a combination of multiple languages. So it's some Hawaiian, some Spanish. Like it sounds crazy. It's like God had so much aloha for his boy that he sent his only boy. It's really, I mean, no disrespect. Like respectfully, it's an interesting Bible.
It's definitely engaging. I have the Bible in Gullah, which is like a tiny
Gullah Island.
Like Gullah Island, like off of South Carolina. Like it's like a dialect of like former slaves like colonized it, and
that's wild.
It's like a Cajun Creole. I'm probably not doing the language. We're gonna hear from all of our Gullah listeners are gonna write in, and they're gonna be so furious with me. They're gonna be like, Father, that not the New Testament. Yeah, it's not.
Wow,
like
that was impressive that you have a Gullah accent in your bag of.
I read the Bible in Gullah. What can I say, man? I'm a man of men.
You're a man of the bag. Overrated, underrated. Edmund, overrated, underrated. We alluded to him already. Raymond Arroyo. Get in some trouble, man. Go ahead. I know you've gone on him before. He's ended up in your stuff before. Images of him.
Man, this is such a trick. This is such a trick question.
Does he take the bait?
He's a trickster.
This should be tea right now.
I think Raymond Arroyo. Here's what I'll say. I think Raymond Arroyo is properly rated.
He's on brand.
The
guy is doing his thing, and he's like exactly true to what
Josh, I gotta be careful now, man. I'm in this world of partners with OSV. Like I'm,
I hear Holy Ruckus. You gave him a little bit.
I gotta be a little more careful. No, Raymond Arroyo is a funny guy to me, and people that I find kind of funny. I've given him. I just kind of poked fun at him. There was one time we were on a bus ride to Cove Crest. And he had just come out with the Wilder series. and he had this photo of him in this like safari hat in like a Barnes and Noble, pointing at his book and just like with a big smile like this in a very Raymond Arroyo way. Very joyful guy. And the caption was like, "It's getting wilder." And so I cut him out. I was bored on the bus. Like we had 10-hour drive. So I used my phone to remove the background, and I just started cropping him into stuff and just being like, and I was tweeting it and tagging him like, "It's getting wilder." I had him in like,
where'd you have him?
At first I started really tame. Like I had him in places that were believable. It was like him in Boston. It's like, "It's getting wilder." But then it was like him in Cairo, and Chris Stefanik. So he was retweeting some of these things. And I was like, "Man, it's super hot out here, but it's getting wilder." And it was like him in Cairo, just like, and like pointing at the pyramid. And Chris Stefanik replied and was like, "Dude, I was just in Europe or just in Egypt. Like you didn't tell me."
No.
And Chris Stefanik didn't realize it was fake. Then I had it. Then I cropped him into.
Great prop job.
Remember when Kanye interrupted? I think it was Taylor
Yes.
Swift.
Yeah. T-Swizzle.
He's right there, like on stage, like.
It's getting wilder.
And the caption was something like, "Yeah, yeah." And the caption was something like, "I don't know who these two people are, but it's getting wilder up here," or something. It was just stupid, like just stupid. So, anyways, me and Raymond.
He never found out. You think he ever found out?
Oh, he knew. He was retweeting it. He was like,
"Oh, he knew."
He thought it was great. Like he didn't. I don't know if he knew that I was kind of tongue in cheek.
Nah, he didn't know.
Yeah,
he was like,
I had him with Voldemort. I had him with Voldemort. Like Voldemort is like behind him, like, and then he's like, like going like that.
I gotta find it. Hey man, that's the photo for the album cover.
It's pretty
fantastic. That's
overrated, underrated. Yay, let's talk about it. Kanye at this time, 2022 Kanye.
Oh man,
out, Kanye, or is he just yay?
Yay now.
He's just yay now. Man, I hate to say this because he's just such a cultural influence. Like, it's hard to deny just the power culturally he has.
It got heavy. It got heavy when we.
Yes, the whole Kim Kardashian thing. Like, it's rough. I don't know. I feel like right now we're feeling like he's a little overrated just because we're seeing behind the curtain a little bit, and it's not nice to see, but
hide the sausage baking.
Yeah, like I don't know. Mental health, everyone. Mental health awareness week, right?
Like, there you go.
Every time I bring it
up.
Yeah.
Well done. Mental health is not overrated.
There you go. Yeah. Underrated. Underrated mental health.
Very good. Clap it up. Very good. All right. You survived. Very, very good, Edmund. Let's get into it. For those that don't know, we are talking to Edmund Mitchell. Man, true Renaissance, man. You've done, I mean, let me rail off just the things that I know. I mean, we went to Franciscan together. You were a year ahead of me. Since then you produced what? How many albums? You know, how many musicians are behind I'm just kidding. At your studio? You got Bummer Lazarus, you did Reverb Culture way back when. You had the show podcast, you did Lumi Box with your wife. Did I miss one? Is there anything you can do? What do you got? No, I was kidding.
RealTrue. RealTrue is a big one right now.
RealTrue. That's what we're here for, folks. This project, this mission of letting folks know about the Catechism in a very vivid and beautiful way. I love the video you guys did on music with my man Matt Cranley, who's already been a guest on our podcast as well.
He's great.
Tell us, man, like I don't know, why Catechism, why hitch onto this wagon? What's going on? Because what you're doing, dog, it's beautiful.
Thanks.
Visually, it's incredible. And I know you're just a hustler, dude. You just grind so much, and I really respect that. Tell me, why keep going? I mean, you did it with Reverb Culture a little bit, but like, why keep this going with the Catechism?
You know, I heard this story once about two shoe salesmen that got sent to a third world country, and they were going to research a market, like a new market, right? And these two salesmen go, and the first one goes and writes a letter back to his boss and says, "Hey man, unfortunately they don't wear shoes here." And the second salesman goes to the same village, writes a letter back and says, "Hey, great news. They don't have any shoes yet." Right. And there's like these two ways you could view the Catechism. You could be like, man, no one cares about the Catechism. Like, Catechism's not modern. The Catechism's not going to speak to the culture. Or you could be like, like, how would we act? How would we talk? What content would we make if we were like, man, everyone loves the Catechism, they just don't know it yet. Like, everyone could love the Catechism, they just don't know it yet.
Yes.
And that's the idea. Like, the idea is not just to translate the like just word for word like digitize it. The idea is to, hopefully, the deeper idea is like inspire people to go to the Catechism, like to dive into the Catechism. And I met Emily Mentok and Edmundo Reyes, who work for the Archdiocese of Detroit. And these are people that have like the second shoe salesman attitude, right? Like, they see possibility. They see what could we change the way people perceive these things? They're super talented in media, communication, social media. And I've always just had a love of the Catechism. I kind of fell in love with the Catechism after I graduated college and tried Reverb Culture for a bit. It was kind of this like social media blog thing for young adults. And so when they came up with this idea, they kind of were like, you love the Catechism too. And they loved, there's a YouTube channel called the Bible Project, or organization. So Edmundo had this really powerful moment with his kids where he was showing his kids these videos, and the kids just kept watching them. And one of his kids said, man, I've learned more in these videos than I have in all of my catechesis, right?
Wow.
So Edmundo has a real passion for making content, and he had this idea, like, what if we made beautiful animated, and also we do live action videos, but what if we made beautiful content inspired by the Catechism? And Emily also is so talented in just getting stuff done. She has an eye for content too. And so we pitched this idea to OSV because the idea was, let's just make it free. And so OSV partnered with us
from the get-go.
This is a project of OSV. Yeah. And they were like, wow, let's make it global. It's going to be in English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and hopefully other languages soon too. And like, let's just make it free to the world. And
what was that pitch meeting like?
Oh my gosh. It was very short, and it was intense because Emily Mundo and I mean, we had been planning and talking and thinking and praying for months.
Were you there from the jump, or were you there from the inception?
Yeah, I mean, Emily and Mundo had the idea, they pitched it to me, and then together we kind of shaped what exactly it could be and consist of. And then
you became the 3 E's.
Yeah, the 3 E's. Yeah. And
with a nickname for that.
Yeah. And then we had an opportunity to pitch the idea to OSV, and they loved it. They were like, let's do it. And so we had a pilot, of a couple videos, and then thankfully our goal was to hit 1 million views, and we hit 1 million views. And then the OSV was like, let's keep doing it. And the idea would be to hit the anniversary of, I think it's the 30th anniversary of the Catechism and the 60th anniversary of of Vatican II, I think in 2022, October of this year. I forget. But we were going to try to hit this anniversary and have the whole first pillar of the Catechism have made all the content.
Nice,
dude.
Okay, so you're focusing on the creed, right? For the time being. Did you think at all? Did you discuss amongst yourselves, like, did we want to jump around? Because like that seems to be some of the secret sauce to like the great Bible timeline and like the Bible in a year process is like, to make it accessible, we're gonna hodgepodge it and piece together units and stuff. Was that ever part of your?
Yes, that took the longest time. How we were going to structure it took the longest time to really figure out. We decided each pillar would be split into 12 units with the idea like 12 months of content.
Give them the pillars for those that don't know.
Basically, creed, sacraments, and liturgy, morality, and prayer. So creed, sacraments, morality, and prayer. And so 4 pillars, 12 units for each pillar. And then each unit, instead of just, hey, we're just going to summarize the content, I was very influenced by, at Franciscan, I studied catechetics, and Monsignor Francis Kelly has this method of catechesis that has these stages, and it's modeled after God's method of revealing himself. And so we kind of took that influence, and we came up with this idea of 3 videos that are kind of progressive and for different audiences, but you could watch all 3 of them together. So the proclamation is more like, it grabs people's attention and doesn't talk directly about the faith. It's just to kind of open up the questions of life and
Okay.
try to stir up spiritual curiosity.
It's like
and
the
then
direct evangelization method.
exactly, like
Okay.
what would the world be like without maps, and why are we fascinated with maps? And hopefully by the end of that short video, which is multimedia animated and has some type of hopefully by the end of that video, you're kind of already starting to ask this question, like, man, yeah, we do really want to know where we're going. And then the next video dives more directly and explicitly into the content of the catechism for that unit. And then the third video is the connection, where it's just me being a goofball, like YouTube style videos, trying to like, how does this apply to our life? Like,
Sure.
You got this like intellectual formation, but like, how would I apply this in my life? Like, what difference does this make in my life? So those are the 3 videos for each unit. So it's a ton of content.
I gotta ask, because it's on my mind. Like, one of the reasons why I said yes to Josh about this project was because I was like, I've always wanted to like play with like radio voice or whatever, like, but I have none of Josh's savvy, none of his like awareness and like production value. Did this scratch an itch for you? Had it been like a childhood thing of like, I wouldn't mind doing a little something,
it's been really awesome. Like it really does use the skills that I really love using, right? So like podcasting, writing, being creative, being on camera, creative direction, catechesis and evangelization, like social media. It really ticks a lot of the boxes.
It encompasses all of this. It checks off all the boxes.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, Hey, we got a looker here, folks. He definitely doesn't have a face for radio.
Yeah.
he's got a face for video podcasting.
Yeah.
They were smart. They're like, hey, we got to get this guy in front of a camera.
I still, though, I mean, this is a whole nother story, but I still consider myself like deep down, I felt like God was calling me to be a parish missionary. And so parish ministry is where my heart really is. But with COVID and everything, I really felt like the Lord was calling me out of parish ministry just for a season. And then that it was around the time this opportunity popped up, and it was kind of perfect. So the only thing missing is kind of the parish ministry aspect of it. But other than that, yeah, it's all stuff that I goof around with and have for years. Just kind of the same with Josh, just kind of teaching yourself like a new trick every couple months. So yeah, it's been really, really fun.
I imagine after you get like all those units together, though, like when you have the 12 breakouts for each of the pillars, then you basically will have like a whole feast of content that an RCIA director can just like plug and play as like a way to support whatever their in-person catechesis. I mean, like, I hope we're getting back to in person.
Yeah.
But like that's definitely something that I would see myself recommending. Like, okay, you're having a little bit of tough time with this thing. Okay, you might want to take a little bit more time with it. Then here's some places you can go.
100%. Like, we shy away from. I mean, the term curriculum is kind of loosely thrown around. So, I mean, I don't really view it as a curriculum, but yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think the idea would be to have all of these videos that you could say, man, I just want a proclamation video just to open up this theme, or I have a friend that if I sent this video, even though they're not involved in the church, they would be interested in, one of, what would the world be like without maps? And maybe I can have a conversation with them. Or RCIA, like, let's dive into this explanation as supplemental. So we see it kind of as supplemental, right? But yeah, I think it will be really cool. It gets way more useful the more of the content that we get out there, and that you can just kind of pick and choose and use those things.
Okay, make a holy noise, right? That's our theme. We go deep. Do you, are you looking forward to a specific part of the catechism? Like, are you like super psyched to like dive into that part? Is there a part that you're like, oh man, don't know how we're gonna do that one? That one's going to be spicy.
Yes. So I have to admit, so we have a big team and everyone's involved. So it's not like I just write the script and then we run with it. So we have an advisory team, a theological advisor, OSV is providing advice, so it really is a group effort. But I will admit the pillar I'm most scared of is the third on morality, because there are some sections there where it's like, man, we're gonna have to cover some of this stuff, and then how do we make it one? How do we make a proclamation video that just makes it interesting to think about these things, right? Like, and there's some of those where I'm kind of like, man, you know, thou shalt not say hi to your neighbor's wife. How do we make that interesting? You know,
well, like that's the hot button. I would have said the same thing, because like these days, so much of the criticism around like even just having conversations with and about the LGBTQ community is that the Catholic sphere has dominated that space with teaching and catechesis, and so we get like blamed for like only giving, you know, paragraph numbers of the CCC, you know, when we're trying to also develop a relationship, you know, and encourage a dialogue.
100%. I mean, Benedict, in a book, Gospel Catechesis Catechism, he kind of reflects on, there was this time where he wrote this big theological paper when he was in seminary, or no, when he was like a theologian, not yet a cardinal. He sent it to Balthazar, you know, and he was so proud of this huge theological work that he had done. And he sent it to Balthazar, hoping he would get like some note or something. And he just got a card back, as was, I guess, Balthazar's style, because he was super busy. And all it said on it was, propose the faith, don't presuppose it. And Benedict said that really stuck with him for a while. And he brought that up in the book, because the difference between this catechism and the catechism a lot of people know, the Catechism of the Council of Trent, is that they really thought hard, how do we propose the faith and not just presuppose it? And to your point, right? Like, I was in youth ministry, and kids just want to know, why can't two men get married? But the real, like, I could just tell you the church teaching, but the real underlying question first is, what does it mean to be a human? Like, let's talk about that first. And then that's super engaging. Everyone's engaged. Doesn't matter what religion you are. Like, what does it mean to be a person? Are we different than animals? Are we just matter? Is there a soul? Like, and then you can get to the teaching, but you have to have this like underlying conversation. And so
we got to build this foundation.
Yeah. Wow. And so the catechism tries to really do that. But yeah, I am afraid. Yeah, I'm afraid of those. I'm afraid of those areas of the catechism. I mean,
tough, man.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let me think.
You asked what I'm most excited for. I was excited about the creed, but I'm most excited for the pillar on prayer. It's one of the most beautiful. I mean, if people are intimidated by the catechism, I always tell them to start on the pillar on prayer. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, practical. I think the first draft was written by a Melkite priest in Beirut. Is it Beirut? Beirut. He was out in Beirut and literally was taking cover in a basement as like bombings and stuff are going on. He writes one of the most beautiful pillars on prayer. So it's a really special part of the catechism that I'm really excited to do that part.
Dude, that's
awesome. I agree. I think if anything, you know, when it comes to like forming the heart, you can't forget that in Unit 1, I mean, this is how I feel about Vatican II documents as well. It's like, you know, those detractors and critics of like, you know, Vatican II teaching, you know, want to throw it away and say like in a disparaging way, like, you know, this is the result of like a pastoral council. So it's kind of like, you know, pick and choose. It's whatever. It's not really doctrinal, but like the whole point is that it's meant to like get to the heart of it all, right? And like, how could that? So then, like, leaves me scratching my head. Like, how could that not be doctrinal? So, like, even though you're in the creed or moral teaching or talking about, like, you know, right worship, you know, of course, those are all prayerful things, right? Like, you know, study is prayer or can be prayer. You know, worship is definitely prayer. You know, and like even like, you know, the way that we respond and treat one another is like heavily inundated by, you know, and informed by like a prayerful mentality, right?
Yeah, and they made sure in this catechism to always bring it back to what's called the kerygma, you know, the basic gospel message, like the invitation to a relationship with God, a saving relationship. And they relate all of that stuff back to it. So there is a way to read the catechism to see that it all relates back to that. And he's now Cardinal Raniero Cantalamessa was preacher to the papal household, and he gave some sermons on the catechism that are really great. And he said in one of them, he said, we need to rediscover the pulsating heart of the catechism. And what is this heart? It is a person, Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
And most people look at the catechism, they're not thinking like, man, there's a pulsating heart that Jesus. They're just like, well, there's some sections on Jesus, and there's some sections on divorce. Like,
Right.
It's all about, you know, the
So why do
Trinity.
So with that said, like, what's taking so long? I mean, you know, like, what do you think? What's taking the church so long to wield the catechism? Like how you're going? You're
That's a really good
taking a
question.
step here, but like, what's going on? What's going on in my diocese? What's going on in my classrooms? Like, why are we like? I mean, it's there in the fine print. It's there. Like I see it when we get our standards, curriculum standards of what they want us to hit from a diocese perspective. Like when I was teaching in, you know, K through 12 or K through 8, I see it there. I see the fine print. Okay, there are the catechism paragraphs or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not at the ready. It's very, you know, undercover. It's hidden. I mean, what do you think? I mean, why does it take so long for us to get behind this puppy?
Yeah, that's a deep question, probably above my pay grade. But my take on it is that, well, first of all, when it came out, a lot of people, you know, kind of poo-pooed it. They were like, you know, modern man does not care about dogma. But in fact, when it came out, it was in airports, it sold out everywhere because, you know, what does the church actually teach, right? Yeah. And then there were some like false starts because, yeah, people just weren't sure. People weren't sure about it and didn't know. And by people, I just say that it was just, yeah, for some reason the church didn't rush to adopt it. And then I think again too, it's kind of like those two shoe salesman attitudes. Like I think some people go, this just seems so dense and heady and theological.
Yeah.
And most people don't think, I mean, it's like they haven't learned to find the beauty in it. They haven't learned how to unlock it, right? And then I would say in general, yeah, that like I feel like we're slowly embracing evangelization more in the church. And in the past, there's maybe been an overemphasis on like an intellectual type of catechesis.
Sure.
Okay.
But the idea of an evangelizing catechesis,
Okay.
at least in some of the circles I'm in, which is like not the normal experience, but there's like, okay, well, we want to be evangelistic, but we shouldn't catechize then. Because like if we catechize like that, like then let's not catechize.
They can't go hand in hand. Oh wow, that's an interesting idea. Yeah,
we should have served in the foot. Yeah,
yeah, and I think often when I would talk to like youth ministers, people, they'd be like, "Well, the catechism," and it's like, man, no, it is catechize. Like, you know, like you said, Father, you know, the church documents, like, you know, catechesis is a moment in the process of evangelization. And even the gospel is a type of catechizing because you're saying Jesus is
People
Lord.
get so afraid of that because they think, well, we don't want to bore the kids. Well, we don't want to, like, it's too heady. It's too dense. It's like, no, fool. It's a part of your evangelization. Like, don't be afraid to wield that puppy because that's where it is. Like, people want that. If you can prep this thing well, if you can prepare the hearts to receive it, if you can properly dispose them, and make it attractive, which is what you're doing. You're taking something that many pastors, I would imagine, and many folks, catechists alike, DREs, like they look at it as daunting. They look at it as intimidating. You're just totally cutting through that with media. And I love it. So when you mentioned Bible, like actually when I watched it, I was like, am I watching a Bible Project video? Because it was like, it was the same, but in the best way, in the best way, brother, because I was already showing that to my kids already. We were going through the letters of St. Paul. We were showing First Thessalonians and things. So I use it, and I know I can bring the Catholicism, you know, on my own, like, in terms of teaching. But I was like, when am I going to see something for us, by us, like FUBU? Like, when am I going to see it by us in the Catholic Church? Who's going to do it? And of course, like, here you are doing it, and so you guys are doing it. So I'm like, you're cutting right through it, and everybody's insecurities and stuff. It's like, ready or not, like, time is now. So good on you. I do want to say, or real quick, just straight from the website, right, for folks that still need a little bit more here of what Real and True is really bringing folks. Straight from the website, we believe the Catechism is not a textbook, a collection of ideas, or a set of rules. We believe the Catechism is the faithful echo of God, who wishes to reveal himself to us and desires us to respond. Our mission is to pass down and pass along the gift of our faith by creating beautiful, captivating, and relevant content inspired by the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And we are making this content in multiple languages and accessible for free to people all over the world. So, I mean, it's all there. But I don't know, Pat, what do you think? Back to what we were saying, but
I honestly like. So you're taking me back here for a second, because we had once upon a time, you know, when I was a much younger, much smaller lad, you know, we had a workshop on catechism, maybe from one of your professors. I don't know if you had Sister Joanna Modak back in the day, but she taught this workshop to us at the Mount, and we like it was one of the first times I had 22 years old, right? Like, you know, I've lived my entire life Catholic, you know, young blood, but ultimately like very unfamiliar with the catechism, you know, and but Dave Verbum 10 is like one of the things that just absolutely gets me. It gets me totally fired up. Like that. This is it. This is the inspired word, and it was like a proclamation of the catechism, or from like a catechism nut, that like made me want to believe like, okay, obviously this isn't the same as, you know, the word of God, but it can't be that wrong to call it, at least, you know, by a couple steps removed, inspired. Like it's an inspired
we're
text.
so
like,
afraid of that.
What do you think of that?
I struggle with this when I first started, you know, really studying the catechism. I really struggle with that too. I was like, man, what, you know, it's not just another, it's not like any other Catholic publication, but it's also not the Bible. And I really have just started saying it's the second most important book.
Because you've said, right? You've said to pray with it, right? Like you've prayed with the catechism.
So I started doing Lectio Divina with it, and I was actually insecure about that until I came across a lecture from a priest from Mundelein Seminary for like Communio, the theological journal or whatever, and he gave this lecture on Lectio Divina, and he basically said like, it's not the deposit of faith, right? But it's an authentic, authoritative summary of the deposit of faith, universal and from the heart of the church. So it is
promulgated by the magisterium.
Exactly. So it is appropriate for us to prayerfully reflect on it. Like it is, like it doesn't have the same level as like the word of God, but it is the explicit teaching of the church, and it's a way for us to meditate on revelation. And one of the highest ways I know to actually get it straight from the mouth, one of my friends said, you know, I really feel like the Bible is words from my father, but the catechism is words from my mother, right? You like sit at the feet of Mother Church and just with each together, just be like, okay, here's the Bible and here's the catechism, and together it's really beautiful that way.
I was gonna quote that, because I remember from our first conversation we ever had, that was the one where the catechism is words from my mother, and I was always, oh man,
because prayer is really like the method of like receiving it, right? Because anybody, I mean, atheists, right? They read the Bible, you know, and one of the things the church maintains is like, until you receive the gift of faith, like until you're blessed and open to that gift, that, you know, infusion, right? Then the full and in-depth and contextual meaning of the word of God will be kept from you. Like it'll be just, you know, a stumbling block, you know, absurdity, you know, foolishness, you know, to the Gentiles, and I guess in that view, or in that light, like then prayer suddenly just shifts the ground underneath of like, you know, where am I taking this, you know, and how am I letting this in, you know? Is this just kind of like, oh, that's interesting, like pulling a Herod, you know, it's like, oh, I like to listen to this, but, you know, it's just a story, right? Like it's just for somebody else, you know, that's just what those people over there believe. But then if it's like in a prayerful mode, man, that's dangerous, right? You know, because then that maybe that gets through, that starts to soak through and say like, you know, what is this asking me to do? What is this telling me to do?
1,000%. Like that was my experience. So I got out of college and I started getting frustrated because I realized I was getting caught up in a lot of the kind of the politicking of the church, I guess. I just noticed that I was upset a lot. I was upset about the culture of death. It's fine to be upset about those things, but that was really all I was focusing on. And then the other thing I noticed was that more than any, like you can hear people give thousands of sermons on John 3:16, right?
Yes.
Right.
But there's something different, and it could move you, the Lord could move and all that. But there is something different about sitting in a room alone with that verse
Yes.
and allowing God to speak directly to you. And I realized that, like, I loved Scott Hahn, I loved all these Peter Kraft and all these authors, but I was like, something was missing. I was getting the faith through their experience of the faith. And that's great. Like, we need that. But I just wanted to go to the source and prayerfully sit with it. And I wanted to allow, before I talked to someone about whether or not, you know, we could have male priests or whether or not two men can get married, like, I wanted to make sure that I had the experience of sitting with the not basic, but with the fundamental parts of the faith, like to really sit with, what does it mean the church is teaching on the incarnation? Like, what does that mean? Like to allow it, like you said, Father, really well, to allow it to change me. And then what does this mean for my life? Because most people don't think, they just think the church's teaching on the Annunciation or the Immaculate Conception is just an intellectual thing. I go,
Right.
that's what I believe. Like,
Give me a sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But God only reveals things he wants us to respond to. So that means like there's some type of response my soul, you know, my will, my heart, my hands are all supposed to give. And that's supposed to change me, you know? And
yes.
so I wanted to really sit with like the Trinity. I was like, when's the last time I've actually like read what the church actually teaches on it? I've heard people talk about it.
Right.
I know the doctrine, but
Sure.
to like sit in prayer and go, how does the Trinity change my life, instead of adopting other people's devotions and practices? Like, what does this stir up in me? How will this change my family and my household and the way I talk to God? And so that was my experience. Exactly what you're saying.
This is such an awesome and unexpected, like, glow up of like literally the first line of that creed. And one of the things that people stumbled about, and I still get questions from time to time, like, why did we stop saying, you know, we believe, and why did we go back to I believe, you know, a credo at Mass? And I so much prefer I believe, because it's obviously we're saying the same thing together, true, you know. And in fact, like, for the life of me, I don't know how, but I keep trying to get people to like jump in from the very get-go, but they're such good Catholics. They're like, no, the priest starts it and I jump in, you know, afterwards. And I'm like, that I is really important. Like, I believe, because it's at some point we all make that journey or that deepening conversion, going away from just like, I'm with it, you know, because that one says it's true and that one says it's true. And it's like, yeah, but who do you say that I am? And like, do I proclaim this is true? Do I believe? And it's like the reliance upon faith is like obviously growing and encouraged by staying in the sheepfold, you know, running with the flock, you know, knowing the shepherd's call, and not trying to, like, you know, go be a lone sheep, so to speak, but the lost sheep. But definitely, like, all it is what's Pat's answer? Like, what do I say? You know, like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's you know, we pray the creed at Mass, but praying through the Catechism changed the way I said the creed. I was like, I had all these experiences of God in prayer and all these experiences of reading through the Catechism. And so when I say, like, I believe in the resurrection of the body, it's like, man, like, I really have had an experience of sitting in prayer and wrestling with things. And again, like, it's not like you can't get this from other books. Like, you can't read a book where someone unpacks the teaching of the resurrection of the body. But I read through the Catechism, and there was a part where it says everyone, both the just and the unjust, will get resurrected bodies. And I just never thought of that.
Right.
I had never crossed I just thought good people get a body. Who cares what the bad people do? Like, and it's like, no. You won't just go to hell and like a ghost version of you will have some kind of discovery. It's like, no, you literally have a body in hell. Like,
right.
And so it's when from now on, when I pray that line in mass, I'm like, it's like a little scary. Like I believe in the resurrection of the living and the dead. It's kind of like, where it used to be just like, yeah, one day we'll float in clouds, right? Like, but it's like, no. I believe in the resurrection of the dead. Do you understand what that means? Like, that's what I believe in. And so it just puts more teeth. It puts more teeth into it.
Yes. Yeah. You're getting in there. There's so much.
Totally.
There's so much more meat to be had, and I guess it just gets even more beautiful the more personal it gets to you. But let me ask you this in terms of process. You've got a good team, right? Like I'm amazed by
triple E's out here.
What raised my eyebrow when I was like Dr. Joseph White, like oh man, like that's
on his board. The board.
Yeah. On the board, yeah, Dr. Joseph. I mean, there's a bunch of people on the board. Dr. Petrock Wiley, I forget how to say his last name. He was the one that I was so excited when he was on board, because in my mind, he's kind of like the catechism scholar. Like if there's any way to be a catechism scholar, he was the guy. And so, yeah, we were so blessed with a lot of really, really awesome people on the board.
Yeah, let me just name some, right? Sherry Waddell, Father Agustino, okay. Peter Barak,
Bob Rice.
Is he on there?
Yeah.
All right. Dr. Hausman Ospino, Bishop David Ricken, Bishop Arturo Cepeda. Man.
Gloria Purvis. Love it.
Gloria Purvis, right? How does that come up? Go ahead.
Did you seek them out? Did anybody seek you out?
Yeah, we seek them out. I mean, at first, before we launched, we were going to people and kind of pitching the idea and getting feedback, getting ideas. And and so we're really fortunate that they agreed to be involved. I mean,
so you have a hit list of the people that you want to go for.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Did you go 10 out of 10 or did you go? You don't have to say
did anyone not?
Who didn't get behind this? I mean, you had no name.
I can't remember anyone. No one didn't get there might have been someone that was just like, I just want to be honest that I don't have time. But other than that, I mean, there was no one that was like, I hate the catechism. Why did you call me?
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I love it, man. That's great.
You like accidentally ask it. Well, I'm Jewish, but hey.
They're like, oh, we were looking for a Jewish guy.
Thinking of me. Yeah. Like we need an Old Testament. Yeah.
And then you got some. So OSV. Did you already have a relationship with OSV? How'd they find you? Or we said it earlier. Or no, Juan Diego Network, Alatia, or how do you pronounce it?
Alatia?
I butchered that joint. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I've only ever read it. Alatea, maybe? I think
never had to pronounce it.
It's their fault for choosing a Greek word, right?
Alatea.
How did these guys get involved? Juan Diego Network?
Edmundo knew Jose from the Juan Diego Network, and then Edmundo also knew some people at OSV. He had worked with them in the past on some things, and so that was how those connections kind of happened. And then Alatea, or however we decided to pronounce it, OSV and them. I think OSV now owns them, or they're partners now. So I think
we own you.
Yeah.
Who else is doing it right? Like, do you try and like pulse check every once in a while, like, keep up with who might be walking with you or beside you, kind of, doing similar things? Because I've heard of other people like trying to, make entry points, make access points to the catechism. I mean, I don't want you don't have to promo that,
catechism specifically.
Oh no,
your competition.
I'm not really aware of. When I first started getting into the catechism, I just started buying any book, any lecture, anything on the catechism, and there was some stuff out there, but nothing that not a whole lot that I could find. And to be honest, I'm probably not the best person to ask, because for the most part, I pay the most attention to like secular media. So Vox, very influenced by Vox, Radiolab, like different YouTube channels and stuff like that.
Sure.
The Bible Project isn't secular, but like outside of the Catholic world. So
right.
I probably should pay more attention to like people that are doing awesome stuff in the Catholic Church.
I think there's probably
I'm with you.
room enough for like long form, short form, because a couple of my brother priests are doing like a Father Mike Schmitz deal where they're trying to do a catechism in a year.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're plugging away. But like there's always, like, I think quite frankly, people, come to know their own taste. So for me, like, I'm a clips guy. Like I love clips channels, on YouTube, especially where it's like, dude, if I ever, get to undo what my millennial brain has done to me, which is like, just a shortened attention span, like where like, I get through the first 45 minutes of a movie and I'm like, I can pause it here. I can go to bed right now, and finish this movie later, like my, if ever that blows back out again, maybe I'll like sit down and do like Pints of Aquinas, like front to back. But in the meantime, like I love chopped up like clips. Like that's my, so I think it's like, the difference between ordering, like carnitas bowl and barbacoa bowl at like Chipotle. Like, you gotta have different types of meat, right?
Well, and that's the thing too, is like the gospel needs everyone, like needs you to enculturate it and to incarnate it. Like like God does need your mouth to proclaim the gospel. It's not like, oh, well, St. Anthony did that really well, I should just give up, right? It's like, no, God wants you to proclaim the gospel. God wants you to go say, hey, come find this man who changed my life, right? Like, and we shouldn't be afraid that, well, other people talk about the catechism. I mean, really, honestly, my hope and prayer is that people see this and go, wow, wait, this is based on what? And then go, wow, we could do that. Man, maybe I could do this thing. Maybe I could do that, that's my biggest hope, is that people in the church are really inspired to do different things based on the catechism.
Well said. Amen.
We gotta come on down. We gotta land this puppy. But one thing I wanted to ask you is when you do this undertaking, and it's gonna, I mean, I can just imagine, brother, like how busy you are and all the different irons in the fire that you got going on. When you brought this home, to your wife, and like, hey, there's this project, there's this thing, like, what was that conversation like? And then lastly, what was like a big sign from God, like, hey, you should do this? I mean, obviously we're seeing the fruits now. Yeah. But when you're in it, sometimes you don't peek your head out and say like, hey, that was God there, like kind of leading the Holy Spirit, leading this thing. What do you think?
Man, I think so. Now I'm full-time with this. When I first started with it, it was a side project because it hadn't yet gotten funded. And now it's full-time. And dude, I think the moment that I thought God was really saying we should keep doing this, I think it was when probably the second or third unit, where I looked back on some of the videos and I was just like blown away by them. Like, man, we made, and maybe also kind of true to the catechism was the kind of, the whole team came together. Like, I'm writing stuff, but by the end of the process, by the time we hit publish, so many people have poured feedback and work into each of the videos that it really felt like this inspired group creative effort. And I think that was really, really cool to be a part of. And I just suddenly got hit with, oh wait, now we're really doing this. And I can't believe this is my job. Like, this is my job. Like, I do this. And so that was when I really started understanding, like, okay, yeah, this, like, I'm supposed to be doing this right now. And also when we started seeing like massive engagement in Spanish speaking countries who don't have as much of this kind of like good content, or other languages where they were like, thank you so much for making high quality Catholic content. Those things were the things where I was just felt really blessed and fortunate, grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you for doing it, brother. And then that's the hard thing too, like breaking into the Spanish, because it's a whole nother world. Think about it. Like, you got your universe, like the English American Catholics is one thing, but if you can break out into the Spanish speaking side and just those pockets, like that's the hard thing to do. Yeah. And so, I mean, wow, for you to have success there. Dude, that's so great, man. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
Thanks.
What do you think, Father Pat? As we leave and as we say goodbye to our friend here, Edmund, what do you got? Anything?
Well, I got a parting question, I guess. Maybe like, one last final shot at Edmund, because you're coming back, right? Like you're coming back.
Oh, I'd love to. Anytime.
There at the beginning, here at 100, you got to be a 3-peat, man.
Yeah.
So we're and maybe we'll be gracious enough, and we'll also extend the invitation to Emily, whatever. Like, we'll know. Ryan Reynolds will know, like, why he got the invite, right?
Yeah.
So if you would say, to some of our listeners right now who have just, they've come with us this far, right? They're an hour deep in listening, and they're starting to like, get that notion of like, okay, I want to start taking some nibbles, and I want to stay, like, how would you, beyond like, the mere like direction, like, all right, go to this page and then go to this page, get started and, understand that, like, what would be like your word of, direct support, encouragement. One of your own, former youth groupers comes to you and says like, hey, I've been struggling, but I heard you were doing this, like, and I'm not sure, like, I want to. Well, how would you bait the hook?
For Real and True or just the Catechism?
For both, let's say. Yeah.
For Real and True, I'd say, hey man, like look at this video on I'm blanking on some of the titles of the other ones, but look at this video on what would the world be like without maps, and then let's have a conversation. I would say, like look at these videos and then try to figure out what the heck does this have to do with the Catholic faith. And I think that would be a fun thing for people to do, even if they're not super engaged. Because I think even people that aren't necessarily Catholic, like that's an engaging, interesting exercise, right? Like,
yes.
What is he getting at here? What is the Christian guy getting at? And then for the Catechism, I would say, Dr. Petrock, I was in a lecture with him on the Catechism at the John Bosco conference, and he just focused on like one paragraph. And by the end of the lecture, he said, if you can get people to learn to appreciate and fall in love with one paragraph of the Catechism, they will develop a hunger for the rest. And I think that's what I would say to them. I would say, hey guys, like you either use the index or, something, like find one paragraph and like, don't just like read through everything. Like sit with that paragraph for like a week, like put it up on your mirror, put it somewhere until it looks different, until it changes you. And then once you have that experience, I think that's when the Catechism really unlocks, because you're like, man, there's like 2,000 more paragraphs like this. So I would say that. I would say don't be afraid of it. Start in the Pillar on Prayer and just find one paragraph that maybe sticks out a little bit to you and just sit with it for a while. Like bring it up in prayer, read it out loud to yourself, at the beginning of prayer, and just let God speak to you with it. And I think he will.
Nice.
Dude.
That's it. In the micro will come the macro hunger.
Yeah.
Macro hunger, trademarked by Father Patrick Mullen, 2022. All rights.
Yep. That also was my punk rock band in high school. Macro Hunger.
Macro Hunger.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What was the genre? What was the genre of Macro Hunger? Were they also punk? Or
it was heavy metal.
Yeah.
A lot of double drum.
Yep.
Double drum, double bass drum.
Didgeridoo.
Yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been rocking with the best, the Holy Ruckus podcast. Please like and subscribe. Happy episode 100. Go ahead and check out RealTrue.org to learn more about the work of our guest, my man Edmund Mitchell. Follow at real_plus_true to get hip with the latest. And of course, for more for us, our podcast videos and blogs are up on theholyruckus.com. Edmund, man, thanks so much. Anything last second are yours? Are you pitching anything?
Oh, you guys are the best. This was so fun. You guys are the best. Like, keep it up. And realtrue.org if you want to check us out. But this has been great. This is super fun.
Thanks for coming back, man. And praise be Jesus Christ.
Down forever.
There you go. All right, Edmund, stick around. But here we go. In World Youth Day in Rio, Pope Francis asked for the church to go out and to evangelize. Well, at the Holy Ruckus, we're trying to do that.
Hi, my name is Brenna, and I am a blog and social media team member. What drew me into the Holy Ruckus is that its mission really encourages hearts that are lukewarm to be ignited and on fire for the truth and beauty that a life with Christ has to offer.
My name is Mike Tenney. I'm a Catholic high school theology teacher, Catholic speaker, and worship leader, and I am a blogger for the Holy Ruckus. One of the things I really love about the Holy Ruckus and first drew me to it is, one, that it is faithful to the church, but also not afraid to talk about tough topics. And also, I just love the diversity of the backgrounds of the different people. We have people from different ethnicities. We have people of different states in life. We have clergy. We have lay people. We have married moms and dads and single people.
Hi, my name is Ogechi, and I'm one of the content creators for the Holy Ruckus. The Holy Ruckus came into my life when I was struggling to find out what my vocation was truly meant to be, and it allowed me a creative outlet to express my faith in a way that I couldn't in my parish or in my job. I find it to be a great way to share my faith to the masses, and I've loved seeing how it's grown through the years.
My name is Father Dan Leary. I've been involved with Holy Ruckus now for a couple of years. My experience with Holy Ruckus has been, first of all, it's been very professional. Secondly, it's been focused on how to draw souls back to Christ. And thirdly, that they have a deeper understanding of the greater mission of how technology, which many times burdens people, can be an opportunity for an encounter with Christ. For those of you that are in the mission of serving Christ and trying to bring Christ to others and others to Christ, find Holy Ruckus a great blessing in my life. God bless you.
So in order to continue our mission to reach out and to reach more people and more Catholics or different types of Christians, we need your help. So we ask that if you want to be a partner, if you want to partner up with the Holy Ruckus and join us on this mission to make a ruckus in the church, we ask you to become a patron. Join our Patreon page. Follow us at the Holy Ruckus on Instagram and Facebook so you can be a part of something big, something that we're building. Thanks so much for being a part of the Ruckus.
Ladies and gentlemen, please prayerfully consider supporting the Holy Ruckus and keep us going on our Patreon. You can be a part of the team and get exclusive access to, pay-per-view content. And Father Pat will not be on the pay-per-view.
Not unless it's a celebrity boxing fight or something. Yeah.
There you go. But Father Patty, I've been told we need some words from Father Patty during the Lenten season. So what do you think, man? I think once a week, something where Father Patty, gives a little 2-minute drill for our folks, for our watchers and listeners. I think that's what the Lord is wanting. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been looking for Lenten projects. I've already got a couple of things that the Lord has put on my heart specific to my parish. So I'm definitely open to the idea of especially because Exodus 90, bro. Lent is is my nemesis.
Yes,
but, I'm happy to share that that gift, that cross of a blessing with as many of you as possible. That would be really joyful. It'd be life-giving. So yeah, absolutely. Be a part of this project, guys. If you're hearing that little voice, inviting you to something more, in terms of your own direct involvement, this is something that relies upon your discernment, but also your generous, yes. So thank you to those who have already been a part of it. Yeah.
Dude, join the team. Join the Holy Ruckus, man. We're making a noise and bringing content and keep us going. We want to add new bloggers. We want to add new designers to our website and what we do in our content. So every little bit helps. If it's $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month, whatever it is, you got big pockets, $50. It will not be put to waste. It will be put to ministry and reaching people digitally, and which is what we do. So thanks so much, those of you that are already giving. Because man, it's just making this puppy grow. So thanks so much again. But here we are in our 100th episode, and you're a part of that right now. So if you've been with us from Jump Street, thank you so much. And Father Pat is here with us now on episode 100.
That's
Father
right.
Pat, since you've joined, I don't know, highlights, best guest, best episode thus far. What do you got?
Yeah, great question. Easy. You saw him on my door, right? I put Coach Kramer on my door, right after we recorded that episode. And dude's Duke got me fired up. Like there was a way that I had just moved to this parish. I had just changed things up and was like looking for that little bit of oomph. And I don't think he has a side hustle as a life coach, but easily one of my top 3 favorites. Destiny 1 was such a bummer for me because I wasn't there with you guys, but Destiny 2 was like a blast. Had a really
yes,
especially because we got to do that just a month ago in person. So
yes, our pro-life episode, which was a couple episodes ago. Mm-hmm.
Indeed, yeah, go check that out. And gosh, if I'm rounding out the top 3, well, that episode with Scott Hahn was really something, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's in the secret,
on that one.
It's in the secret vault. Like we had to take it out like Disney. And we only busted out for the 200th anniversary or 200th episode.
Yeah, we ran out of time. He came back. We ran out of time, but we'll catch you next time, Dr. Hahn. We're so excited to have you for next time.
Oh my gosh!
Every little bit counts.
But
your Coach Kramer episode, folks. At Catholic Coach, I believe, Coach Kramer Soderberg, he was on our podcast in episode 65, which means that Father Pat, you've been with us since episode 57.
Wow. I just can't believe that. I can't believe it. I guess when I start to think about it, it starts to come back. But even if it wasn't technically a podcast, I don't know how you distributed it, but one of the first things you invited me on board was the panel discussion about
that was later.
Okay.
That was later.
Okay, maybe it was.
Yeah. The racism panel, that was my favorite times. Episodes 61 and 62 that we did, where we brought out Father Ebuka, Officer Brandon, Ogechi Akalabre. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And then on part 2, Brian Greenfield, our friend Dominique, and Mike Tenney, when we talked about race, just from the issues in racism that we see in the church, in our world, when all that BLM protests were happening, like as a Catholic, how did I respond to that? And what do I do? And what does the church ask me to do? That was one of my favorite stuff that we did.
Yeah.
It definitely made a ruckus out there, but yeah. Okay, cool. Coach Kramer, for you. Yes, you put a quote up there. What was the quote? Do you remember the quote?
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
My eyesight is definitely gonna be tested here. There's only one game day. Judgment Day.
Uh-huh.
It's got almost like a Terminator vibe to it,
Dude, Coach Kramer was awesome. He and basketball coach. Awesome.
Yeah.
Such a great conversation. When we did, what else did we do together? That race panel was pretty sweet.
Especially because I love all those people, I actually want to have another, just ride along, talk along with any of those guys. We collaborated with Mike not too long after that when we did a holy hour together, right? He did the music for.
Yes, we did an Advent reflection, Advent praise and worship night with Mike Tenney, PK at PK Mikey T, and who is with Awaken Catholic, but also a blogger with the Holy Ruckus. And so he led music, praise and worship, and you went live and you gave a little Advent reflection. So
it was a blast. I can blow your spot up by saying I still marvel to this day of how many moving parts and how many collaborators you managed to logistically involve and coordinate with for last year's Living Stations of the Cross with music, the album, that is a heck of a thing, man. Stand on that for sure, because that's unique. I've not seen anybody else in the Catholic world take on anything like
that. We did for those that are listening who haven't been with us, we did I just wanted a playlist of Catholic made Lenten songs that were not in the hymnal, that were just a little bit more on the contemporary modern side. And just for us, by us, right? That FUBU notion, and that's what a bunch of Catholic creatives around produced, they made it, they sent the song over, did a little music video with it, with the Stations of the Cross, like living stations, like filming that, and the bitter cold and the snow. And this young adult group from St. Martin of Tours in Gaithersburg, Maryland, did this, and it was so beautiful, and the music that accompanied it. So yeah, we're getting ready for Lent, so those videos will come again, you know.
It's like a Catholic Stations mixtape, like prayer method. It's so many things in one. Well done.
Yep, the Christ is passing by. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, man, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for rocking with us. We always say it, rocking with the best, the Holy Ruckus podcast. This is what we do, man. We're trying to create content that engages, that inspires, and that challenges, right? Oftentimes, for all the great episodes that we had, I know there were episodes that really challenged folk on either side. And I hate to say it like that, right? We had our liberal side and our conservative side.
For sure, yeah.
Like,
the first one that comes to mind with that was like, we got, I tend to follow my mama's like, teaching, and she used to say to like, to say to us as a bit of an encouragement, like, if you weren't doing something right, the devil wouldn't mess with you, like he tries to get at you when you're trying to, follow the Lord's will. And man, Tony Esser's episode definitely caught some, it spiced it up, Tony spoke from the heart, and then we had him on, and he just kept on talking from the heart. And that was more than some could handle.
Right. A married, bisexual Catholic, thriving Catholic man, who is a member of the LGBTQ community. And what do we do with that, church? And that really challenged some folks. And we heard him witness in his experience, and he is thriving. He is a friend of the show, of the podcast, and a contributor. But yeah, we were glad to give him the mic for that. And so that was definitely a Holy Ruckus. But here we go. We live and we go. But on to the future, on to episode 101, 102.
Very excited.
Who would you like to see, Father? If you could pick, if you could reach out, who and I can make it happen, probably, maybe. I don't know about Raymond Arroyo, I don't know about Dr. Hahn, but like, who would you ask for as we close up this episode 100? Who would you get?
Oh man, I in no particular order, but like perhaps from like way more immediate, like, in terms of who would I really like to talk to like who would I still like to talk to, but it's probably never going to happen. I really hope that we can get Meg Hunter Kilmer on with us, because she's now full on diving in to her. She's got like a fellowship or something with Notre Dame, that they're allowing her the space and the time to continue her research into especially lesser known saints. She's made it like a part of her, evangelization. She calls herself the hobo evangelizer. And so she's published a couple of a children's book and a book for adults about saints that are more obscure, saints that aren't just European, saints that are, really make us what we say we are, little C Catholic.
Got you. So Meg Hunter Kilmer.
And then, it's not impossible, right? Like Jeannie Gaffigan, Jim Gaffigan's wife, is the one that he refers to as the Shiite Catholic. She came and did my either my convocation or the year before me at Catholic University, and I know, I follow them. She's, I think, a gifted writer. That she wrote Jim's show on his sitcom, and I think she would be a blast and like a lot of fun and really funny.
Let's do it.
And that's definitely near and dear to my heart. But like way outside of the box, never going to happen, because the resurrection hasn't happened yet. Like if we were outside of time, like, man, how cool would it have, in kind of the same comedy vein, like daily mass goer Chris Farley. Like Chris Farley,
Ooh.
God rest him, went to daily mass when he was at Marquette. And and he based like the name of Matt Foley, the character who lives down by the down in a van down by the river, like that is the name of his priest friend. And I think that would have been a really cool interview. Not meant to be in this part of life, but that's my way outside, just kind of like, could you have dinner with anybody in the Catholic world, on Holy Ruckus podcast? Like, yeah, rest in peace, Chris Farley.
Rest in peace. I would ask, man, dead or alive. I mean, of course, I would love to have Jesus, but
sure.
Yeah, no.
Would we understand it? Like, would he just come with all of his parables and we'd be like, huh, yeah. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I would do Herman Edwards. I don't know how Catholic
Coach Edwards. Yeah.
And head coach of the Arizona Sun Devils, right?
Nice.
Arizona State football team. So I would ask him. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if Dick Vermeil is also a Catholic.
Might be. Yeah.
Coach
K
Wahlberg.
is. Got to shout out my Dookie boy, in his last year at Duke. Coach Krzyzewski. He's a good Polak Chicago Catholic.
Got you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we can dream, can't we? We can
Yes,
dream.
we can.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been rocking with the best of Holy Ruckus podcast. If you've been joining since the beginning, episode 1, we want to talk to you. We want to know you. Let us know in the comment section. Like and share, subscribe. We're so happy to be with you and to ride with you. Thanks so much for being the team, Holy Ruckus. We are out. Thanks again. Father Pat, anything? We're out of here.
I mean, Jesus is the reason for this podcast, but you guys make it all worthwhile. So thank you. God bless you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. More episode 101 is coming up next week. We'll see ya.